Finding yourself the prey in the talons of an owl on a dark night is a gruesome affair. The owl will rip you to pieces or eat you whole. Then it will digest you later to spit up a compacted pellet of what was your fur and bones. Then the owl kicks back, rolls itself a cigarette, and smokes it while listening to the wolves howl. This is the smoking owl. This is a true story that happened to me a long time ago when I was 10 years old. The story happened in a small town in the leafy suburbs north of New York City, in Westchester County. It didn't happen at my house, but at the house of one of my good friends at the time. This is one of those towns in Westchester where there are huge suburban houses set amongst oak trees and maple trees. It was a safe neighborhood where I knew most of the owners of each house by name. The houses were generally quite large, with multiple floors and several bedrooms. The house where this scary story takes place was extra large. It was not the shining hotel large, but it was large enough. It was a colonial house with 5 bedrooms on the second level. The family living there had 5 children ranging from ages 10 to the upper teenage years at that time. The night this happened was a dark, cold night. My friend's parents were out with some dinner plans that evening, and I was just there visiting my friend Byron, who was also 10, and his older brother Jacob, who was 12. These are not the real names in real life. It was just the 3 of us in this large house on a dark night in October. I knew this family quite well, so felt very at home in their home. We were just goofing around that night, playing some games, watching TV, 3 kids in a large empty house. So this is where the night becomes creepy. The 3 of us were in the kitchen, downstairs, with the lights on bright. It was around 11:30 at night, so it was late, but not super late. The phone rang, and Jacob, the older brother, at 12, acting as head of the household, answered, "Hello?" We then saw Jacob get a peculiar look on his face and hesitantly said, "Just a minute," and then did something a bit odd. He rested the phone down on a chair. This was one of those wall phones from the 1990s. I don't think people still use those in 2018. In any case, he put the phone down and just left it and walked upstairs. I remember thinking it was a strange thing to do, but still could have a reasonable explanation. I looked at Byron, and he also had a curious WTF type of expression on his face. We were quiet for a few seconds, and both of our facial expressions showed signs that we thought this was something peculiar and odd. In a few moments, Jacob is going to be running down the stairs in a panic, screaming for us to get immediately out of the house. But before we get to that part, here's what happened upstairs. Jacob climbed the stairs and went into his parents' bedroom. This is where there's a tabletop telephone. This is one of those old corded phones where you pick up the receiver and hold it to your ear. Not exactly an iPhone 10, but this was back in the 1990s, and back then there was no way to know who was calling you. Jacob picked the phone up and said, "Okay, I'm upstairs, what's up?" A few moments went by with dead silence, and Jacob asked, "Hello?" Then the voice came. It was calm but cold. "Jacob, there's a bomb inside your house, and it's going to blow any second now." Click. The other end just hung up. Jacob dropped the phone and felt a panic rush through his body. He ran out of the bedroom, down the stairs, screaming, "Get out of the house! There's a bomb in the house! There's a bomb in the house!" We saw Jacob at the bottom of the stairs running, and he did not waste any time heading straight through the foyer and outside and down the stone path that leads away from the house and out to the street. Byron and I also didn't waste any time and just ran with confused fury. Jacob stopped running when he arrived at the other side of the street on the sidewalk. We looked from across the street at this huge house, looking very eerie on this dark night. The house had several lights on, and the front door was wide open, and it was empty. There was no one around. The neighborhood was still and quiet. It was just us, 3 kids, the oldest 12 years old, standing there on a cold October night at almost midnight, scared out of our wits and waiting for the house to burst into flames. I was feeling chills through my body and chills on my skin from the dark, cold air. Our jackets were just in there, and we could just go get them so easily, but thought the house could blow up at any second. Jacob explained what had happened on the phone call upstairs, and that he thought it was his Uncle Jerry. But now he didn't think it was his Uncle Jerry. It was a bizarre call, and the caller knew he answered on the ground floor and told him to go upstairs. How could the caller know this? We thought that maybe he told Jacob to go upstairs so that Jacob wouldn't have enough time to get out of the house before the explosion happened. We stood there. We waited. We were scared. We were cold. We thought the large, boxy, empty, illuminated house on this dark night would soon be in flames. Or that there was a chance it would be in flames. It never did blow up. But we were still afraid to go inside because maybe it would blow up. Eventually, we went to the neighbor's house. The father there didn't seem as scared as we were, but he did call the police. The police searched through the house, and Byron and Jacob's parents also arrived home. Looking back, the whole thing was some kind of practical joke, a prank call, and there was never a bomb. We never found out who made the call, and Jacob to this day still has no idea who it could have been, and still says that he, at first, thought it was just a friendly call from their uncle. There are a few pranksters in the neighborhood. Actually, we were amongst the biggest pranksters in that neighborhood at that time. Still, it doesn't explain how the caller knew Jacob was on the downstairs phone in the beginning, and that there was another phone upstairs. And further, it seems like the caller knew who he was speaking to. Who would do such a prank that is so sinister to a few vulnerable kids home alone on such a night?